Hey, let's do this. Hi, this is the Groundwater Guy, Tom Ballard, coming to you live, and we're on August 19th, 2021. We got a few topics to cover today, so let me just get into that. What we're going to do is talk a little bit about upcoming events, and if you got any events you know about, I'll give you my LinkedIn address later, and I would love to hear about them, and we can put them up here and talk about them. We're going to talk a little bit about the California fires update because it's pretty nasty situation out there and certainly national news. And then we have Steve Stieg is going to come on in a little bit and talk about the tri-state seminar. And so he attended that recently, and he's going to give us a little picture of what went on there, and we'll go over the agenda and talk about what he found there. So it was kind of interesting, and I've discussed it with him a little bit, but he's going to give us a lot of detail here today. So that's our agenda for today. So let's get into our upcoming events. We talked about a few of these last week. I talked about the agendas, but just as a reminder, coming up pretty quick here in September 13th through 16th is the National Rural Water Association Water Pro Conference in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So that's really probably more for water system operators, small water operators, rural water system operators. And there's the registration link for that. I've been to that conference before. They have a good exhibit hall, and they have a lot of good technical talks, really centered around what small water districts need and funding issues and all those things that are important to small water districts. Next up, we have the Groundwater Resources Association of California. Great group. I was head of their Sacramento chapter for a while when I was living out there. And they have the Western Groundwater Congress coming up September 13th through 15th, so overlapping with the NRWA Water Pro Conference. This is going to be in Burbank, California. This is going to be more for water system consultants and engineers, geologists, that type of thing is really what this is geared towards. So there's the technical talks are really going to be for geologists and engineers is how that breaks down. So the registration link is there. GRAC always puts on good conferences, so it's well worth attending. This is going to be an in-person conference, by the way, so it's well worth attending. National Groundwater Association Groundwater Summit is coming up in December. That's going to be an online virtual event, and National Groundwater Association is kind of split things up here. This year they're doing a virtual event for the professional, the engineers, the geologists, and that's the Groundwater Summit. That's going to be December 7th through 8th. And so there's the registration link there. So the talks there are going to all be online, and they're going to center around topics of interest to water professionals that are geologists and engineers and anybody related to that field. And then the following week, December 14th through 16th, is Groundwater Week in Nashville. That's going to be an in-person event. They are going to have the talks there really are going to center around more drillers and supporting pump people and those types of talks. So that's really what you're going to be looking at there. And so that's what's coming up there. The registration link is there. That's right down the road from me, so I'm definitely going to be there wandering around. They always have a great exhibit hall with lots of people there, so we'll see how that shakes out this year, if there's going to be as many people, but I'm looking forward to that, and like I say, it's right in my backyard, so definitely looking forward to that. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the tri-state seminar if Steve comes on here, so we'll see if he shows up. The that just concluded. So the next one coming up is August 8th through 11th, 2022. That's in Las Vegas, Nevada. There's the registration link for that. I don't think they have registration for next year up quite yet, but you can get some information there. You can see the agenda for this year's talks. That's really kind of a blend of water system operators, drillers, and the scientists, engineers, and geologists. So kind of a good mix of talks there. And so we're gonna cover what went on there, and we'll take it from there. So that's what's coming up. If you have anything on the calendar that you know about, events coming up that we can publicize, just please let me know. Here's my LinkedIn address. That's always a good place to get a hold of me, and you can just drop me a line there, and with the information on any upcoming events or any topics you want covered in future groundwater talk live sessions. So just let me know, and we can go ahead and do that. All right, so now the biggie, California fire updates. We're one of the things we're looking at here is Northern California is definitely got some pretty big fires. The Dixie fire appears to be on its way to being the largest fire. It's not quite yet, but it's on its way to being the largest fire in California history. That's up around the Lake Almanor area. The last time I checked, it was at, which was just last night, 635,728 acres burned and only 33% contained at this point. They've had some challenges because the winds have come up, and that's really made things a lot more difficult. So I would say the bad news is this is well on its way to getting larger before it gets contained. So we're seeing, the wholesale destruction of thousands of homes, or over 1,000 homes at this point. The entire town of Greenville, and certainly a lot of water systems up in that area are getting damaged. They're having to evacuate areas, and so we're seeing a lot of stress in that situation as well. So that's the big one. There's some other bigger ones in Northern California as well, and most of the fires seem to be centered in Northern California. There are some throughout the state, but the other ones throughout the state, the bigger ones are down in the southern Sierra Nevada mountains, and those are 1,000, 2,000 acres. So even though that sounds like a lot of acres, it's pretty insignificant when you compare it to these Northern California fires, and most of those seem to be fairly well contained at this point, or well on their way to being contained. So another big one is the Monument Fire. That's up in the Klamath area. It's 128,613 acres right now, and that's about 10% contained. So really that one stands to get bigger as well. And the size of these fires is really taxing the fire budget, and the firefighters are exhausted. It's quite challenging, and the other one, the other really biggie over 100,000 acres is the Mcfarland Fire. That's south, a little bit farther south, so southern Northern California, I guess you'd say. That's 107,102 acres as of last night. It was 51% contained, so only about half contained. So that one stands to get a little bit bigger too, and hopefully the weather conditions are going to give them a break, and we can go on from there. So that that's the California fire situation. I do not see Steve on here yet, so. Let me see what we got going on. Hold on a minute. We'll see where Steve is. We got a backup plan if Steve doesn't show up, but I was hoping he would be here by now. Let me see here. Pardon me on this. So Well, let's launch into our backup plan here, because I'm not seeing Steve showing up here, so maybe we can get him on next week to talk about this and go from there. So let me see here. Um, Okay, so what we'll talk about, since Steve did not show up here, what I'll do is I'll do a quick demo of the online version of the National Geologic Map database from the USGS that also includes historic topographic maps. I suspect a lot of people are familiar with this, but we'll show it to you anyway, because it's such a great tool. I use it all the time, and if you don't know about it, it's a great tool to have in your toolbox. So let me set this up here, and we'll hold on. Let me get this here where we can bring this up here. Screen share. It's always good to have a backup plan, but sometimes it doesn't always mesh that well. But um, so, all right, this is the National Geologic Map database. It is the it's you can see the address up there. It's ngmdb.usgs.gov. We'll get you there. And so, as you can see, what we have is we have yeah, when you first log on to this screen here, you're going to get you're going to come, this is going to be the welcome screen, and you have a map catalog, so you can find they say 100,000 products that you can go through. There's information on stratigraphy, so geologic names, charts, guidelines are in that. And generally what we're going to want is the map view, and that's what I'm going to focus on today. There is the Topo View. This is where we can access historical topo maps, and so that's definitely something that I use a lot of as well, because sometimes the current maps that you get from the USGS, they tend to obscure things, or they don't have the same amount of information or any historical information. So you can go back to the late 1800s on these topographic maps and kind of get a good look see at an area, and maybe discover some things that you didn't know about. So that's pretty useful. There's a tab for standards and guides, and then map schema is also something worth looking at too. But let's focus currently on the map view, and this is going to get us our geologic maps. They have all 50 states in here now, so we it took them a little while to get that. It took a number of years to get all this on there, but let me just bring that up, and I will show you how this works. You're going to get a welcome screen here to bring up the United States. Down below here, you can change the map opacity, and over here you can change the base layers. We'll zoom in a little bit here. So let's for instance look at we'll zoom into California, for instance. We can drag this over and say let's look in the Mojave Desert area of California here. So maybe some areas, if we get down to the Victorville area, for instance. Just gotta zoom in. And one of the things I'll do is I'll get the I'll reduce the opacity so you don't get the overlays yet, so I can zoom in. You can change the background. So here's the satellite photography. Here's the topographic map background. So so these all give you the background, and then you can change the opacity to get the geology maps as well. So so that's so let's look and see here where here's Barstow. Where's Victorville? There's Victorville. So Victorville, Barstow area, we'll zoom in on that a little more so we can see what's going on. So that should be a sufficient zoom level. So we got it zoomed in here. Once again, you can get the highway map, the highway topo map, the satellite photography, and then the USGS map, and this will change as you zoom in. So you can zoom in and actually get you now at this level you start to see the 7.5 minute map that's going to be the background, and so we can then bring the opacity up, and now you see the maps start to show up. This is kind of stitched together from various geologic maps. It depends on what they've done is they've chosen the best map for the area. So as we move over here, you can see it starts to fill in. So you can see the border. This is more of a finished map. And so if we're interested in say a particular area, right out here in the area outside Apple Valley, for instance, well, let's go up here to Barstow and where we got some nice looking maps here, and so I'll reduce the opacity again so I can see where I'm at, and where are we at here? Lucerne Valley, Newberry Mountains. There we go. Here's Barstow, Daggett, where I've done some work, and so let's just zoom that out again, and you can see, for instance, we get out here around the Daggett area, which I'm familiar with. We can zoom in a little more, and you can get that detail on the maps here. So if we're looking at things specifically here, now we see, and what I like to do a lot of times is I'll have the opacity set down a little bit so I can see the underlying information, the underlying satellite photo or highway map, whatever you want, and then I can still see enough of the geology that I can figure things out from there. So so that ends up being what the basic geologic map looks like. So there is a menu that should be showing up here that I am not seeing. You can find actually an address this way. They have changed this a little bit, so so this will actually zoom into the Daggett area here, and that's one way to do it as well. So that's our search function as well. They've actually changed some of the functionality on here as well. So, but you can see how you can search for things, and it can bring you to places pretty easily. So that's we'll get rid of that and zoom back out here. Now, off on the left-hand side here, we can see that we have a number of maps here, and as you scroll over these, it lists the maps within the view, and you can see which area these things cover. So the other way to do this is actually to right-click and drop a pin here. That'll show you this geologic map. If you look over on the left-hand side here, you can see now that we have this the geologic map. This is a Dibley map. That's not going to be downloadable. A lot of USGS maps are actually downloadable, and they're going to be downloadable as a KMZ file also. You can download a PDF or you can download a KMZ file and actually load those up into Google Earth. So I use that a lot when I'm in conjunction with Google Earth when I'm researching an area. So it's just really handy way to do it. Dibbly maps are a private collection, so even though you can view them on here, then you can't actually download those. But I'll show you a trick here in a minute, how to do that and how to actually, capture parts of the map here. But as we can see here from the Dibbly map, we can get more info on this, and that'll take us to a different screen. And now you can see we can. In this case, it looks like this one is actually a USGS map. So you can see here, you can actually print the PDF, you can download a GeoTIFF map, you can browse the graphics, or you can download a Google Earth KMZ file and load that up. So if there's other sheets, you can scroll through them here. If you want to browse it, you click this, and that'll actually open it. I'm sorry. So the other way to do that is to click here, and you can actually go full screen on this. This will take it full screen for you, and so you can see here that we can now zoom in. And the way to do this on maps so you can't download from here is actually to zoom in to the extent you can, and then actually use a screen capture tool to capture parts of the map, and then you can blow those up and use them. So you may not be able to download it, but a screen capture tool, I use a program called Snagit, but there's a bunch of them out there, and that's certainly a great way to go on that. And if you're going to drop it into a map or something or a figure for a report, that's the way to go. So that's one way to do that. Let's close out of here, go back, and you can see here there are all kinds of other maps. You can do the same thing. Here's a different map. This is a Dibbly map. So you can you can go for more info here. This you can see this is actually a Dibbly map, and you can see that all our options for downloads are grayed out because it is a Dibbly map. But once again, we can do this, and we can then go full screen, and then we can just do a screen capture of the area we have interested in. You can screen capture the legend and go from there. So that's kind of how I do it. It's probably cheating, but that's basically how I end up doing it with these. Let's close out of that. Go back to this. You can scroll down here. There's a whole list of maps at different scales. These there's tags on them on different bedrocks or official maps. You can sort them that way. So a bunch of ways to do this. You can sort maps by their scale as well. So you can get them, you can only show maps that are 62.5, 24K maps, of which there doesn't appear to be any in here. 500K maps are all. And you can get the full citation list here as well. So that'll bring you to this full citation list, and then there's the links back to the map there. So that's definitely a good way to go. So I see Steve is here. So let's go back to our interview mode with Steve, and let me get back here, and we'll bring Steve on board. And we will get him up here. And there we go. Oops. Well, let me get rid of that.
Tom, can you hear me?
I can.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I can hear you. Thanks for joining us. I was just going through the National Geologic Map database. So we showed that a little bit, and while I was waiting for you to show up. So thanks for being here, and
You bet.
I wanted to chat with you a little bit about your visit to the Tri-State seminar in Las Vegas, and I know you had a great time there and got lots of good information. Um, that was August 9th through 12th, so it just got over with last week, and
Right.
and
Right.
so you're back and unwinding from that. So, but
Hit the ground running. Hit the ground running. It's really a great experience.
yeah. So what? So a little background on the conference. So who are the people that attend the Tri-State Conference? Because I wasn't aware of that until relatively recently. I'm ashamed to say, but because I know it's been going for a number of years.
Well,
But
since 1985. Since
wow.
1985, I've been. I was really surprised. I hadn't heard of it either. The first time I went was 2019. In 2017, they actually had about 3,300 participants.
Wow.
So it mainly attracts water and wastewater operating personnel from the tri-state area, from California, Nevada, and Arizona. But
Okay.
really, they get people from all over the world and all across the country.
Okay. Great. Um, get your name in here. Um, so um, So, how many people were there this time, and how do they kind of shake out? I mean, there's water system operators, but are we seeing geologists and engineers showing up there
We are.
too? Okay,
We are, because it really it attracts mainly the operating personnel and operating management personnel. So it attracts a pretty diverse crowd. But given the tracks that they have, because what they've done is divided it into a lot of folks go for the CEUs, and they didn't hold it last year because of COVID. So as far as this year, hard to gauge, but I think I saw as good attendance for this year as I did for 2019. And for a lot of folks who are making the comment that this is the first conference I've attended, since the lockdown. So everybody was full of energy and really glad to see everybody else. They have a number of tracks. It goes into water, wastewater, instrumentation, electrical water distribution, maintenance, health, safety. Of course, I go for the groundwater, and so
yeah,
the groundwater is going to attract the folks who do have water wells and rely on those for their water supply. And the groundwater tract, for instance, is headed up by Gino Manini, and he of course is with Clear Creek and a hydrogeologist there. But Tri-State's mainly volunteers, Tom. That's the beauty of it. So everybody who does the coordination, they're all volunteers, and they're all really proud of what they do. And I think that's really what makes the difference with this conference. The folks do an amazing job. They really have a passion for making sure that everybody gets the value for the time invested. And it's really the value for the time invested, because at a $99 registration fee, it's nobody's really in it for the money. It's all to make sure that there's an efficient transfer of knowledge in each one of the knowledge tracks, and that's really what makes it key.
interesting. Yeah. So let me just pop up here. I got the actual program agenda, and
Good, good.
just show that real quick, and then let me well, that's where are we at here? So that's not looking like that's my desktop. So
Well, and while you're pulling that up, the one of the things that
there we go.
I think probably the biggest thing that makes this show so efficient is, first of all, there's all sizes of water and wastewater treatment organizations. There's City of LA, there's small water systems throughout the tri-state area. So everybody's welcome, everybody's on an equal footing, and that really makes for a great atmosphere. The other thing is that the tri-state folks really they check everybody in, they check everybody out at the start and at the end of a presentation. And so you don't have a lot of folks coming in and out halfway through. The lot of the so the distractions are really minimized. People are there to soak up the information, and the presenters are there to present the information. And so it really just that smooth flow and that good efficient flow of information back and forth to earn those CEUs and to trade the information that's been hard won in the field. You know, these are all very experienced folks who are giving these presentations, and they're presenting on things that they've actually done in the field. This is not necessarily theory, so that's the beauty part of it, is to really hear about that projects that they've been working on. And this is 3 days, as you say, 3 days of technical presentations. You know, starting from 7:30 in the morning, going until 4 o'clock in the evening, 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Wow. So here's basically the agenda that's posted online, and so you can see you got 4 tracks each day, and so first day wastewater treatment,
Well,
instrumentation,
you
water
know, and before
distribution.
you move on from that, let me just point out that, okay, each one of those presentations probably has 75 to 100 people, maybe 150 people attending. And
Okay.
so at the beginning of that, at that 7:30 start time, the tri-state folks have to get everybody logged in and checked into the room. And at the end of that, they give you about 10 minutes to switch rooms, but they're logging everybody out of the room. So it's it's when you look at this schedule, realize that the tri-state folks are really moving a lot of people between each of these different tracks and each of these different presentations.
Yeah.
So again, the beauty of it is just the efficiency with which the tri-state folks execute this information exchange.
Yeah,
And
and I guess something that I really like looking at it is that they're full 50-minute presentations, which there's some conferences out there like National Groundwater Association has some tracks where you do these 20-minute presentations, and it's, you know, speaking from experience as somebody that does a lot of presentations, it's really hard to convey your message and get any good information out in 20 minutes. It really
very
is.
true, very
Yeah.
true. You know, and I would say that these are 40-minute presentations, and so the moderators, the volunteers who moderate these presentations do a fantastic job of getting the presenter to start on time, and then they also monitor the talking time very closely to make sure they end on time. And so there's a tremendous amount of respect for everybody's time involved. I think there's respect of the participants to pay attention what the presenters are doing and respect the amount of effort that's gone into creating that presentation. And then there's also the respect of the presenters to make sure they're conveying good, solid, practical, technical information, you know, sort of free of a sales pitch, but practical, technical information that the attendees can take home and use, and really
Yeah.
to increase their knowledge base. And so I, and again, this is all for an extremely reasonable fee. And even the South Point Casino and Resort, where they hold it, they offer a great rate on the hotel. So it's a minimal investment for maximum return. And I think everybody realizes that, and it makes it such a fantastic conference. As you can tell, I'm very enthusiastic about it.
I can tell.
And there
Let me
and there's a
let me.
full exhibit hall too. And so the vendors who go
Uh,
have sort of they have the audience coming from the presentations. They start they don't open the exhibit hall until after or about an hour to go in the final presentation. So there's great attendance to the last presentations of the day, and then everybody is free to go to those exhibits and really interact with the vendors who participate. And and this year's show, everybody was masked up, of course, but this year's show had great participation. There's always great energy in that exhibit hall, and folks really putting on a good show. You know, they're bringing in massive pieces of equipment, they're doing their live demonstrations. It's just a lot of energy, a lot of energy.
Let me just scroll through here. So this is the first day. So Tuesday. It was a 3 day, 3 days of talks, I guess. So
Jam
let
packed,
me
jam packed.
let me look at. This is Tuesday also. So there's actually more than. Oh, this is the no. So there's
So
more than
that was
four.
Tuesday.
Well, it's about 2 pages per day. It's about 2 pages of talks per
Okay,
day.
so there's more than four
Go
tracks
down
here.
to the
So
next
there's
one.
like 8 tracks then.
There's a lot. There's a
Okay.
lot. Yes.
So this is also on Tuesday, so the first day. So yeah, wastewater safety, groundwater and recharge, stormwater, and we'll dive into some of the specific talks here a little bit. I
Sure.
just wanted to
Keep going. Keep going.
give folks a an idea of what some of the talks are or what the agenda looks like here because it looks like there's a lot of stuff on the agenda.
There is. And
Um,
remember, between each time slot, they're moving 150 people between each one of those room sections. And so
yeah,
they really have to be on the ball, and they do a
yeah,
fantastic job of it.
okay. Yeah, there's stormwater, a lot of GIS stuff in here. I see.
Right.
Wednesday, there's the so 2 days of talks. I guess I thought it was three
Nope,
days,
keep
but
going,
2 days.
keep going. No, keep going.
Is
You
there?
still got
Oh,
August.
okay. So we got
Yep.
Thursday. Okay.
See that?
Um, Thursday is so more maintenance, wastewater, surface water, water distribution. Just kind of pausing here so people can glance through.
Well,
You
maybe
can
you could
always,
include a link to the technical program. See,
yeah.
and there's
I did
Thursday as
actually
well.
give
There's
the link
another day.
earlier for the program and actually showed the dates that is available for next year. So for 2022, so they already have a date for that. Rest of the technical program, and I think that's about it. So
And then there's also some specific tracks where there are day-long courses as well
oh, okay,
for
those don't
different
show up in here then.
certifications. So that's probably at the early part of the overview.
Okay, so let me
Let me
fix
just
this
see if I
again.
can find this here. I'm looking in mine. So there's workshops and certifications, workshops, compliance code enforcement inspector, pipe certification. Let me just see here.
So a lot of so most of the
That's
course
made
the
easy.
day long courses are operator courses, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So for maintaining CEUs, is there any distributor certification courses that go on there?
I'm not sure about that one, Tom.
Okay, I was just that would probably be challenging in that situation because those are usually multi-day courses and that, so it's probably more CEU stuff. But
But then, but then each one, the reason that Tri-State works so diligently to log everybody in, actually with a handheld scanner and our name badge, log everybody in, log everybody out, is so that everybody can get their CEU credits
right,
and they can get their certificates.
okay.
So they're extremely diligent about that.
Okay, so what are some of the talks that stood out for you? I know you certainly didn't go to every talk, and you were probably more focused on the groundwater types of talks. But what are some of the, give us some of the talks that stood out for you? And I know you and I have talked about a few, but which ones stood out and why, and what information did they convey? And for the record, we're trying to get some of these people to come on the show that Steve ran into out there. So hopefully we'll get a few of these people on and do a more extended conversation. But just wanted to get a sense of which talks stood out and what information you got out of there. So maybe you can just run that down as well.
Sure thing. Of course, with the groundwater, I always work to make sure I'm in any of Gino's talks from Clear Creek. And Gino started out. He had the first one of the day at 7:30, and the title of his talk was "Groundwater Well Designed for More Than One Stakeholder." And really, the I've seen a number of Gino's presentations from the work that Clear Creek Associates has done, and it really they bring all their resources to bear. And the beauty of their presentations is they talk about each one of the steps that they went through, and then Gino's also able to give sort of that human aspect because the top point of the topic was groundwater design for more than one stakeholder. It was an interesting perspective on a recent project they'd been working on to balance the needs of a housing development developer and the municipality.
And so the Gino was talking about the steps involved, because the housing developer, of course, folks are going to look for maximum water quantity, whereas a municipality is going to want to make sure that that well that's designed and installed lasts for as long as it can, and also provides the optimum water quality, balancing against the water quantity. And so Gino went over of course, the resources that Clear Creek is able to bring in terms of their hydrogeological knowledge, in terms of their drilling knowledge, just the understanding of the geology, doing their own water profile, doing their own well profiling as they're doing the development well. So he's able to bring all of those technical resources into his presentation, but then also talk about things from a client perspective. Because as you know, as a hydrogeologist, a geologist, you're consultants. And so consultants have to consult with people and balance those different needs and those different personalities. And so that's the beauty of we don't only get the technical presentation, and really his presentations are chock-a-block full of the different approaches that they take and the different calculations that they make, the different water quality analyses, the different slump tests, the flow tests. So, but he also brings, this is how we approached it with the two different clients. This is how we balance the needs of the two different clients. So, really a fantastic talk there from Clear Creek. And then the other one was Kevin McGillicuddy of Roscoe Moss, and also this year's McElhaney lecturer on his topic was groundwater well assessment, and so gave a lot of great practical information to operators of water wells to see really how their water wells are functioning, the kind of data that's important to track. And I think really that kind of information, when you do sit down with a consultant like yourself or with Clear Creek, folks are able to understand the terms that are going across the table and why folks are picking up these, why they're taking these particular kinds of measurements, and really, I think, able to ensure that they're getting good quality service from these resource providers.
Awesome. Just a real quick shout out to Chris Johnson, who's watching, and Joe Sales are here as well. So just saying hi to those guys.
Oh my goodness, we are live.
So you are live, Steve.
Okay, good. I'll watch my language.
So yeah, I don't think there's any problem with that. So yeah, so keep going. That's sounds like you got some good talks that you saw. So
did, and then well rehabilitation, practical, predictable outcomes with Todd Eden, and bringing his experience to bear in terms of the different work that he's done. And of course, you and I have talked.
Who's Todd with?
Todd is with HTC.
Okay.
Let me just take a look there. I'd have to look for
HCT,
a little bit more. Yes.
Yeah.
So some great practical information there. You and I have talked about how well problems, a lot of the plugging issues come from biological issues, and that's Todd's background.
Okay.
So talking about the different aspects there.
Yeah, we definitely need to get him on the show too to talk about that, because
right. And you and I have traded some email notes about that.
Yes, as well. So any other ones that?
Well, I branched off a little bit. As you know, I have an interest in ion exchange, and so the next day I sat in on a talk from Kathy Swanson with Purolite, talking about operations experience of running a PFAS plant with their ion exchange resins. And as you know, PFAS is an up and coming problem for a lot of water systems. So that talk was extremely well attended, and how to treat that, and sort of the advantages, pros, cons, ion exchange, say versus granular activated carbon, because folks are still looking at a lot of differences there, and there's pros and cons to the two approaches. Then the other one I really enjoyed, Kristen O'Neill. Sorry, I'd have to look at the affiliation there, but bringing advanced treatment back to the basics, fundamentals of ion exchange and GAC for water treatment. And as an ion exchange person, and also as a person who's been involved with granular activated carbon, these are really difficult topics to approach because they're so big. There's so much you can talk about in any one thing, but Kristen did a fantastic job of really narrowing it in to the basics and what folks need to understand about those two different technologies.
All right. So anything else stand out to you? Are you going to go next year?
Yes, most definitely, most
Okay.
definitely. I think there was a presentation, City of Buckeye, by Brittany Radke and Joshua Justice, their City of Buckeye's water wellness program. That one was fascinating. A couple of civil engineers who really had to look at, sort of a blank canvas and how to help the city of Buckeye really plan for the future. They had so many, it's just like with anything, you've got water resources, you've got groundwater resources that you need to develop for today. So you've got emergency situations where we need to get some emergency supply going, but then maybe you've got some other wells that you could bring online that may require some treatment. You need to understand what kind of treatment's required. But then you've also got a budget you've got to follow. And so what resources do we bring online when, and how do we fund those? How do we get them started up? And how do we look to the future to make sure that we're going to have enough water to supply our community? And that was just as an engineer, being able to sit back and go, oh my goodness, these folks really looked at the big picture, and how exciting for them as engineers, and how great for the city to be able to have this program laid out as tightly as, sort of have that vision presented to them.
That's Buckeye, Arizona.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. Well, it sounds like it was a good show, and we're going to have to track down some of those people. One final question for you: did they record the talks, and are those going to be available for people that didn't register at all? So those of us that didn't go, is there some way to go back and get videos of the talks?
Great question. I don't know. I don't
Okay.
know. What I would do is, if you're
Were they
interested in
recording things while you were there? So
I did not see that. I did
okay.
not recording
Okay.
equipment. I did not
Okay.
see recording equipment. But one thing I would point out is the folks who gave the talk are pretty easy to find. And when I've reached out for a presentation maybe that I wasn't able to attend because I needed to attend another one, they've been pretty great about sharing that. So
Okay.
I'd say, hey, I just, what I'd do is find them on LinkedIn, send them, see if you couldn't get a copy of that presentation. I don't know, since you weren't registered, but that's what I've been able to do for some of the ones that I missed.
Okay.
Shout out to Mike Bodart of General Pump for that. I wasn't able to see one of the talks because I attended his talk the next day, but was able to request that.
Okay. So so just go on the Tri-State. I think it's tristateseminar.com, so it's pretty easy to find, and you
It's
can
probably
find the agenda there.
tristatellc.com.
I think it's just tristateseminar.com, if I remember right.
Okay.
I
All
had
right.
it
Well, I'm
earlier
not
in the
going to look
show.
because
I posted it up, so it's earlier in the show if somebody wants to rewind and watch that part. Um,
Okay.
but okay, so well, thanks for that review, Steve, and that's sounds like it was a good time and well worth attending. Lots of good information, and I may have to make the time to attend that next year because it looks like it
You know,
was
the whole
worthwhile.
time I was sitting there, Tom, I was like, you need to be up in front of those folks. I think some of the projects that you've done, just the practical aspects of it, of being able to share that information. It's a good, respectful crowd, and I think it's well worth the effort to pull together a solid presentation that really shares good information, good practical information.
Okay.
Thank
Well,
you. Thanks for having me on.
well, Steve, thanks so much. I'll let you go, and thanks for that update and presentation. And like I say, we're gonna track down some of these people so we can get them on the show and get a little bit more information. But Steve kind of gives you a quick recap there. So we'll go back to to our regular show, and I'll let Steve go. And we're just going to kind of wrap up here. I think the people that are attending live and appreciate that. We'll get this posted up so that you can get the video on LinkedIn and YouTube and Facebook, of course. And so let me just wrap up here. So here's our schedule. So we go live Thursdays. We're trying to go live every Thursday, 9 Pacific time, 11 Central time. And if you want to come on the show, I'll give you that information here. Here's the information. You can. I got a booking page. You can come on. You can schedule a slot, and I'd be more than happy to have you come on, and we can discuss groundwater, because I know there's a lot of folks out there that have a lot more knowledge than I do, and I appreciate you sharing that. So if you want to find us, we have a YouTube channel. So this will be posted up in the YouTube channel. That's where we're streaming live right now. So there's a long, complex URL there, but probably the easiest way to find it is the Groundwater Guy channel. We also have a Facebook group where we're posting up. We're streaming live there, but it's actually a group because of the way Facebook handles live streams. You got to have a group, so it's easy to join. There's the link for that, but you can look for Groundwater Talk Live there as well. So once again, here's my LinkedIn contact information. That's a great place to get a hold of me. You got the booking page. You can go in there and book, and then we'll chat about getting you on the show. And I appreciate that. If you got any calendar items that you want me to talk about, you can send me that information on LinkedIn as well. I'm on LinkedIn all the time, so you can find me there. So with that, I'll say goodbye, and we'll see you next week.